I want to talk about the hooded men briefing that was held in the AV room, and I want to thank my own colleague Niall O'Donnell and Jim Gibney for organising that, and I also want to thank the Taoiseach, Simon Coveney, for agreeing to meet them this afternoon, and I do hope that that meeting will turn out to be productive. Their main ask was for the Irish government, and our main ask is that the Irish government would appeal the finding in relation to the judgment of the ECJ. We heard from Leon Shannon in particular and Francie McGuigan, who were two of the 14 men that were singled out for special treatment and singled out for torture during internment in 1971. And for people who don't know this, I think they should look up to see what happened in those 9 days that these men were taken away and were deemed missing, and the techniques that were used and the sheer and utter brutality that was used by the RUC with the backup of the British Army in a purpose-built torture centre in Ballykelly. We all know that the 1978 ruling did not take into account all of the details that it should have, and at this stage these men want to know who and why, but the main thing is the need for the Irish government to put that in place, appeal in place. What was unique as well about this Cathaoirleach is that the people who actually carried out the torture asked for immunity from the British government before the men were tortured. That was something that I wasn't aware of until today, until we heard the first-hand experiences and from Dara, from the legal team of the hooded men. And they were described how they were taken in a helicopter, taken away, and they were thrown backwards out of the helicopter about 5 feet from the ground, and they had no idea of how far they were in the air, and also the white noise that they were subject to, and how for 7 days they weren't allowed even to use the toilet. Now, we know that it was deemed as degrading and inhumane treatment, but we also know that it was torture, and we know the Belfast High Court, thank you Senator Orris, that the Belfast High Court and indeed the British Supreme Court did acknowledge that if it was done now, it would be deemed as being torture. Now, I'm not only just asking for this to be done because of these men, but because of the international consequences of that kind of treatment not being deemed to be torture. So we need to take that into account. There was a British minister in attendance at the time to be shown these torture techniques that was approved as well. So for all of those reasons, Cathaoirleach, I want to commend the men and their legal team for coming down today, and I want to commend the Taoiseach for meeting them, and I hope that there will be a positive outcome. And I suppose I would ask the leader of the Seanad and the parties who operate within the Seanad and independents to help these men to get this appeal in place. It is time limited. It needs to be done before the 15th of May. Thank you, Cathaoirleach.